Bonjour à tous et à toutes. As Jean-Bernard just said, I'm going to switch to English. Although it is supposed that I have certain knowledge of French, so don't feel afraid. Consider what you're going to read as notes more than a presentation. It's a matter of contributing to this event, giving something for further discussion. I have to start with, of course, what is PAYERAS.t, and I'll try my best not to bother you too much on it. First of all, the name, the .t. The .t is a way of using many t's with only one, because in Spanish, the country where this association was set up, tourism, travel, technology, all, and you, land, territory, all these words start with a T. So we considered that the .t would be good for our name. Unfortunately, we have had then problems to using it as a domain, because anything with a dot behind can have a dot afterwards as a domain. The two dots create kind of a conflict. If there's any in the room able to solve this problem, we would be very grateful. And then we are an association that is a cluster, and it is supposed that the main thought of this event is collaboration and collaborative projects and all these things. So a cluster should be a good example of what collaboration means. At PAYERAS.t, we are trying to do new things in tourism through collaboration, knowledge, and technology. That would be the bottom line of it. And without sharing a vision and without having objectives shared by the partners of the association, it's impossible to achieve anything on it. We are working on 4 different things. The first is knowledge and technology, this blue T that you see on the screen, the human capital, the red one, the globalization, internationalization, which is the I, and then this important chapter that is the green S, sustainability. Good. So now I would like to cover the next slides with 4 words. Tourism can be only traffic if you don't do anything else. So tourism might be traffic and might be logistics, but it can be as well wealth and well-being. So 4 steps, something that could be traffic and logistics. How can we make sure that wealth is created and that this is a good base to set up a society with a higher level of well-being? So only on traffic, the most visited regions in Europe, the Canary Islands, Ile-de-France, Catalonia, the Balearic Islands, one of the regions of Croatia, Veneto in Italy, and the region where we are in. So does it mean that the Canary Islands have a better tourism than Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur? If we pay attention only to the numbers, the answer should be yes. Then we are going to move a little bit forward, and this is the region where where we live, the Balearic Islands, after an orthodox exercise of dividing visitors by residents. It's dividing apples by oranges, but in the end it gives you a certain ratio of intensity. And in the case of Mallorca is 14 visitors per resident. In the case of Ibiza, this year will be around 40. When this slide was prepared, I didn't have this latest information, and it was above 25, around 28. In the case of Formentera, you got 120 visitors per resident. And again, the question would be, how does it compare with the rest of Europe and the rest of the world? The highest ratio is the Vatican City, counting only tickets sold to the Vatican museums. That is about 5 million divided by 1,000 gardeners, priests and nuns gives you a ratio of over 5,000. This is how much is too much or a lot, 5,000. And in the case of Formentera, the ratio is higher than one of the countries, the European countries that has the highest ratio as Andorra is. So, combining this traffic and this intensity, are we sure we create wealth and well-being for all? And this is the methodology that applied to the Balearic Islands gives you the OECD. So they have these axes with different colors that without glasses for sure are going to read. Environment, health, safety, housing, education, and then there's another one that I can't read from here, and it is, well, the orange one. So in the end you have a set of indicators that gives you an overall score for each of these chapters. And in the end, what comes up as wealth and well-being created in the Balearic Islands after all these millions have visited our beautiful territory is a well-being similar, or indicators similar to the ones of Lisbon, Sardinia, certain parts of Ireland, and northeast England. So my point here is from traffic to well-being. That should be something that through indicators, research, benchmarking, we should be able to assess. And how does it compare au Vence à Côte d'Azur? So I think you got a better outcome out of it, and you got a similar flower shape of Umbria, Madrid, south of Sweden, or Tyrol in Austria. So I do recommend that, especially in tourist destinations, you've got at least the interest and curiosity of comparing the outcome of it, not only the number of visitors that you receive, because as you've seen, the standards of living in the Balearic Islands are far higher than in the Canary Islands, and we are receiving far less number of visitors. So there's something in between that it doesn't follow the model. It's 10:35, so I should stop 5 minutes ago, but I'm going to keep on covering the second block, and it is on the purpose of this event, which is the shared economy and all this stuff. First of all, in English we got a label which is Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse means small. A Mickey Mouse apartment means a 24 square meter apartment. And a Mickey Mouse player means almost an irrelevant player. So, in the end, all these collaboration among Mickey Mouse players, can it produce a champion? Because the economic books that we use to educate ourselves are about how to create a champion. So, what I'm trying to say is that not only the travel and tourism has been deeply affected by technological changes, is that there's something that only technology can produce, which is a platform. Without a platform, there's no way of creating something, good or bad, out of Mickey Mouse players. So, this pillar of IT is needed. It's not only a trend or that people under the age of 21 have a look at their mobiles 150 times a day, and of course they haven't had any time left for the rest of their duties. It's only this digital buzz trend, thank you very much, but in the end, the change goes through a platform. The second thing is about this sharing, collaborative economy that we know and has been already projected on one of the slides before, that there are platforms for consumptions, production, learning, finance, and some other things. But my point is that I'm not very much interested on collaborative economy. I'm far more interested on shared wealth. And you know, there's an index that you will find out on Wikipedia, which is not the most reliable source for these kind of things, but good enough. It's better than nothing. Called the Gini Index. And the Gini Index shows you how uneven a society is. And the Gini Index is growing and has been growing almost in the Western world systematically since 1970. We have an uneven, a growing uneven society in Europe. As you know, I'm from Spain. There are plenty of people without a job in Spain. But don't forget that the wealthiest man in Europe is still from Spain. So what kind of Spain are you talking about? So the wealthiest man in Europe is not from Zurich or the city of London or fancy Paris or disciplined Germany or creative Sweden. It's from Spain. So these dual societies where you have a huge gap in between is something that worries me. And I think that this shared thing gives a window of opportunity to restore something broken, and that it was very European, which was that there was a bulk in between. And now it seems that there's the few on one side, a bulk of people with plenty of trouble, and then the left behind. And that's not very European, I must say. I've spent more than half of my professional life outside Europe in uneven societies. And I didn't feel very much European when I was in Europe, and I feel very European now that I'm back. And if you ask me what does a person to be a European, essentially in the past there were two things. This not huge Gini index, so there was a bulk in the middle. And then the skeptical way of thinking. Do you believe in God? Yes, but do you think a couple is for the rest of your life? Oh, yes, but there's always a but. And this but is what makes Europe, Europe, in my opinion. So what I'm asking is for a but on what is going on nowadays. That plenty of young people who have gone through a complicated process of education. What in the past a degree was enough, nowadays you need 2 masters and a degree. So there's kind of inflation at college and university level. And in the end, there are companies who complain about the skills of their newly hired workers. So again, shared collaborative economy, but the outcome of it should be shared wealth or a more even society. Let's move ahead. And I've said important words: platform, shared wealth, and then I'm going for the next one. Society for the few or society for the many. That would be another way of putting it. Something good for companies. I've been working for companies the whole of my life. I don't have anything against companies. Or something good for society. Because companies is not society. It's a part of society, and being in the Chamber of Commerce, I have no doubt about it. But it's not the same. And the question here is whether Mickey Mouse players with a platform can share a bigger share of global wealth. If not, what's the point? Work for a champion. Don't work for a Mickey Mouse unity with disturbing links with the rest of Mickey Mouse players in the world. That would be my conclusion. So we've prepared, these examples have already been mentioned, and I would like to point out that just today, one of the major Spanish newspapers has a new example to put on the slide, which is fly by private jet for a fee. It's a company that Goldman Sachs as well is a shareholder of this company, and it's another example not only of the blah 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 car, it's already in the private jet industry. So you pay an annual fee and you have unlimited access to flights by private jets on demand. And the none, on the question, there's some, but there's more collaboration on production than on consumption. And in the travel industry, there's little collaboration on consumption. It's only a way of pointing it out. Then, of course, it seems that the more democratic, with more Mickey Mouse players, with more players in the end, although they are Mickey Mouse, should be a good way to build a better society for the generations to come. And as well, another word that we will have a look at weaknesses and threats is the regulation. And I would like to share with you some examples. In Spain, for instance, it's very difficult to develop something on the food industry as a Mickey Mouse player. One of my neighbors spends 9 months in Britain and 3 months in Mallorca. And she's not been able, in 5 years, to do the same in Mallorca as she's doing for a living in Britain. And that means that ideas on paper are very nice, but then you will see that the regulation of the territory is a huge barrier for certain collaborative initiatives that you might have. And then, again, on the witness too, we are talking about the new economy of the Mickey Mouse players, and as well, a good platform can be a monopoly in the end. So what the combination of Mickey Mouse players has the brain of a champion. So it seems that it is a more complicated way of getting the same outcome with a different income. It's only a reflection. And there's no doubt that in tourism there's plenty of opportunities through these collaborative experience with new niches and as well the new business models. Regulation, I already talked about it. It's an important part of the outcome, and it's been possible not to have problems with Airbnb in many places in Europe, and there are certain sectors or parts of the value chain in tourism that have not been able to be set up in the past years. I think I'm going to stop here, and I hope that at least I've contributed to this conference on what for, not on the what, but because I think the purpose is more important than the movement at this case of collaborative economy. I do appreciate your time. I thank you, the organizers of both m-Tourisme and as well PAYERAS.t, Miguel, who have helped me with this presentation. I do recommend that you pay a visit to our website, especially to the sections that are in English, that are 4 videos, the 1, 2, 3, and 4. The third red dot, 4th, 5th, and 6th, because it describes, I think, the sequence that many territories in Europe, and especially in the Mediterranean, have gone through the past decades. The first video that I say is available in English is From Subsistence to Prosperity. The second one, From Prosperity to Stagnation. The third one, From Stagnation to how to make use of all resources we got at the disposal. And the third one, a new solar system, where the sun is the customer, none of the tourist actors. So, thank you very much, and thank you very much for your time.
I will ask some questions. You go avec le micro. De toute façon, vous pouvez aussi, il suffit d'appuyer sur devant vous sur le bouton pour que vous preniez la dame.
Yeah, just a very quick question. You mentioned in the beginning the health and access and the number of indicators. How do you calculate the health and index of a destination, for example? Or the other indexes? The health, the santé, or access.
No, I was referring only to, I suppose, certain indicators that are here at the OECD methodology. So just a second. For sure, on their website you will find out how many indicators have been considered to build one of the axes. You got as well, I suppose that this methodology shouldn't be very different to the one that is used by the World Economic Forum. Every 2 years publishes a free report on competitiveness in the travel and tourism industry in the world. So the indicators there, for sure, I remember some, I don't know, they're exactly the same on the OECD, the number of hospitals and the number of, so it's mainly infrastructure, and availability, and if something unexpected happens, if it might affect you or not. It's something like that. So, answer, I don't know exactly how it has been worked out, but I would be very surprised that it is not similar to the methodology that the World Economic Forum uses. The World Economic Forum uses 14 pillars, and I think 127 indicators that are put in these 14 pillars, and all of them are shown. So the best, for instance, city infrastructure is in the Republic of Singapore. The best airport infrastructure is in Canada. And I do recommend, especially for the youngest, who know who's the best in town. Who's the best on this indicator pillar? So we know that for IT infrastructure, Korea ranks very high. I don't know if they're still the #1 in the world, but it's a good reference. So if you know the value of this indicator in one part of the world, at least you know the reference. This is why I use this provocative slide of dividing the Vatican tickets by cardinals, nuns, and priests in the Vatican, because 5,000. But in Italy, there are certain villages and certain towns that have a ratio of higher than the Vatican, but they are not a state. And one of the highest ratios, for instance, talking about another indicator, is the old quarter of the city of Venice. The old quarter of the city of Venice at this moment has already less than 60,000 inhabitants, and they are receiving more than 60,000 visitors a day. So their ratio is 365, in the same unit that we have been using here.
Hello, présentez-vous, juste pour savoir qui vous êtes.
Christophe Guillaume from Orange Group. Do you think there's a positive relationship between the Gini index and the development of some platforms, digital platforms like Airbnb, for example?
I would say it's a personal opinion. I don't have, usually I try to always have at least two different routes. My perceptions and something that I can prove with indicators. Because, for instance, in the Balearic Islands at this moment, we have a debate whether we have reached the highest number of visitors we can host. And the headlines of a local newspaper today were reading, in year 2030, there will be 25 visitors per square meter of beach. I can tell you, it's not true, but it's making the headlines. And if wealth, tourism created by tourism, in the case of the Balearic Islands, is only for the bar and hotel owners, for sure you will have thousands of people who will think the headlines are right. So on your question on the Gini, it's only a way of finding a way to state that our world is uneven. Nothing else. And I'm not against the wealthiest man in Europe. It's only that when you have 40 billion euros as net wealth, and you can buy any building in the world, something he does every month, by the way, in New York or in Hong Kong or wherever you might put your building for sale. He might buy it Good luck. But there's then a social responsibility chapter in all companies that you have to put 3 or 4 pages on how good you are, responsible are for society on your annual report. It would be a pity that having this amount of wealth at your disposal, the social responsibility is only a matter of printing responsible things you've done throughout the year. And on the other hand, the amount of needs in the world, financial needs, grows higher than wealth. So there's something in between that we are not doing properly. That's my point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.